In my video about successful business owners, I explained their characteristics based on my own experience and consultations. Although I'm in a limited capacity, I vicariously live through their own business, which makes me understand each consultation better. From my entire time in the industry, I can make broad and abstract conclusions based on all of these people. These characteristics seem to be universal, but I want to talk about the other side of people who consult these businesses like I do. First, I want to start off with some basic information. If you want to get into the banking industry or any finance company, be prepared to build relationships with people who have large personalities. There are plenty of good people in a company, but there are also many people with dominant personalities. The bottom of all companies is where most people are humble because they are service workers. The requirement of cross-selling isn't expected of them, and if they do sell, they get a pat on the back and a good job at the end of the day. Some of the sales reps at this stage have built somewhat of an ego that is glaring, and then there are others that might not care as much about the sales because there's really not that much of an incentive. The reason why most people start at the bottom of any company is because of the low expectations corporate has of these people. Everyone at the bottom is expected to pass tests with the available resources to see if they deserve a spot at the corporate party. In the higher echelon, their egos are no longer egos, but the real version of themselves. There is nothing to gloat about because of their cumulative experience and journey. What we mistake for ego is their real confidence. I don't say these people have an ego because I reserve ego for people who inflate their confidence by extension of their achievements. The value of someone is inherent with the person themselves, not always of what they've done. When I say confidence, corporate personalities never build confidence. They have ingrained their confidence. I'll give you a comparison. Your sales rep is to a huge building as an executive or director is to a farmer. What happens when the building is empty? What happens when the building gets knocked down because of a bad framework? The farmer might work in seasons or with certain crops, but they constantly reap what they sow. They ingrain their confidence, no pun intended, but ingraining their confidence is internalizing it. Building your confidence is building an ego that is fragile to a bad deal, a bad client, or a bad day. I've been here and I've had to reflect on it and understand it, but internalizing your confidence will carry better through the trivia. These type of people don't ever waver. Now, here are some characteristics about these individuals. They have a personality. A lot of people you meet through corporate channels will be commonplace. They work for the paycheck, and their alignment with the company progression and culture is like everywhere else. However, these executives, directors, and managers have a personality that overshadows commonplace people because they have an air of dominance, and people will listen to them when they start talking. Not only that, but they do believe in the mission statement that the company has. I think having a personality is a big selling point for these people because it's what draws people to them, and what they say after only affirms people's valuation of these individuals. Their word choice or vernacular. This is an important one. Words have a deep impact on our conversations with our peers or clients. I'll give you a tiered example of the worst, average, and best way to ask a question with some changes in the words. The worst example first. What are you planning on using the money for? It's a long-winded way of asking something, and already 3 or 4 words in, you already know what I'm going to ask. An average way of asking is, what plans do you have for the funds? This is a great way to ask, but it's average because almost everybody I know says it. Sometimes it's hit and miss, so depending on who you're speaking with, this could be a great way to ask. For my last example, although it's pretentious, it does cause people to think. What strategic opportunities are you considering with your assets? It's thought-provoking, it's indirect about their money and comprehensive wealth, and strategy implies short-term and long-term plans. Now, for clients in high-ticket transactions, this is what people usually like to hear. For my third point, they say and ask thought-provoking statements. This does come with experience. However, across every department, these individuals ask and say things that will lead to ideas and a resolution. I would say thought-provoking statements is the equivalent to a think tank. Business consultants create meetings as a think tank. And the closer these people are to the top, the more thought-provoking these statements are. For example, we listen to a lot of trending CEOs and business owners. Why? Because sometimes they say and ask questions no one else addresses or thinks about. For my last point, they care about knowledge more than people. I understand that sounds careless, but this is the nature of the business. They understand what they say and do reflects their knowledge and business values, and that's going to be the sole driving factor for all business transactions. I know you might be thinking that anybody can do this job then, right? Up until this point, I've listed characteristics of successful business consultants, and it has culminated to this one point. Knowledge is just more information for these business consultants to use effectively. It comes down to their knowledge. They are the product. It's not what the finance or banking company offers. It's the relationship that they offer and their quality. Not everyone can do their job because not everyone can effectively build relationships and conversate with others. They are the product. With all of these points in mind, together, they build a full package. Their knowledge, their personality, the way they speak to others, their elevated language, all of this builds a quality product for any business. I hope all of this information was helpful to you. If you are going into the finance or banking industry and you have questions about scenarios or situations as a career, or want to know more about these companies on certain topics, please leave a comment below or send me an email. If you found this information useful, please also just leave me a comment. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you on the next video.